Hi, I'm Hazel, and this is your guide to the Retch pet battle on Argus. I'm going to start with a super quick strategy for just getting your world quest done and moving on with your life. Then, I'll show you strategies for every single pet family for progress on the Family Fighter achievement. Retch lives here on Crocoon. There is a big death laser that moves through his area now and then, so do not be AFK here. First, the fastest strategy, which doubles as the Beast Strat. Grab your attack breed Zandalari Ankle Render or Kneebiter with Hunting Party, Black Claw, and Leap, and then just put any other beasts into your backline to kind of cheerlead. Hit him with the Black Claw, and then Hunting Party. If you live through the end of that, you can finish it with a Leap. If your dude somehow doesn't quite make it, one more beast type hit from pretty much anyone should wrap things up just fine. Next, the aquatic strategy. I'm using a Dark Moon Turtle with Bite, Shell Shield, and Headbutt, and in the second slot is Speedy with the same moves. Last, I grabbed some crab with Claw, Healing Wave, and Shell Shield. You basically just want pets with Shell Shield and beast damage, so whatever crabs and turtles you have handy will probably do. With the turtles, we're going to apply Shell Shield, use Headbutt on cooldown, and then spam Bite in between. I get kind of greedy and I don't bother reapplying the Shell Shield after that first one, and it works out just fine. You're not going to stun him with Headbutt because of his critter racial, but it's still worth doing for the damage. Speedy here is so speedy that he actually gets to go first all by himself without any kind of buff. What a champ. Next is critters. I'm using an Egbert and a Mulgore hatchling, both with Shell Shield and Trample. Last, I picked up a pint-sized pink pachyderm with Trample, but that third slot should be pretty flexible. I really like using Trample because that extra 10% hit is huge on a boss pet. So we keep Shell Shield up and spam Trample. When Egbert has trampled for as long as his little legs will hold out, bring in your Mulgore hatchling and do the same thing. Later in the fight, when his deep bite has ramped up to big hits, worry less about the Shell Shield and more about how fun trampling is. Next is Elementals. I'm using a Corehound pup with Scratch, Howl, and Burrow, a tiny bog beast with Leap and Rampage, and a Doom Bloom with Bite. Starting with the Corehound, use Howl, and then Burrow, and then spam Scratch. If you're lucky, you'll get one last Howl off before you die. Bring in the Bog Beast and Rampage into that Howl, and then just Rampage your life away. After your Bog Beast sinks back into the bog, 1 or 2 bites from your Doom Bloom should finish the job. Next, we have Humanoids. I'm using a Thistleleaf Adventurer with Bite, Barkskin, and Dazzling Dance. Feel free to sub that for a Dandelion Frolicker if you don't have the Adventurer yet. In my second slot is a Kunlai Runt with Mangle and Thrash, which you could swap for a Stunted Yeti with the same moves. Last is the Alel Bad Wolf with Claw, Dodge, and Howl. Start with your little imp dude and use Dazzling Dance, then Barkskin, then spam Bite. Make sure that before you die, refresh your Dazzling Dance one more time to renew your speed buff. After the Thistleleaf dies, bring out your Runt and use Mangle, and then spam Thrash. When he dies, bring out the Wolf and use Dodge, then Howl, then Claw. That last smack should finish the fight. Next is Mechanical. I'm using a de-weaponized Mechanical Companion with Thrash and Extra Plating. In my second slot is a Cogblade Raptor with Screech, Exposed Wounds, and Batter. Third is a Mechanical Squirrel with Thrash just in case. Start with the Mecha Bunny and use Thrash, then Extra Plating, and then spam Thrash until your rabbit dies. On the Cogblade Raptor, use Screech, and then Exposed Wounds, and then spam Batter. That pretty much does it, but if your raptor does get gibbed, a good thrash from your squirrel into that Exposed Wounds, Screeched, debuffed boss should teach him a good lesson. Next is Dragonkins. I already got 2 extra Creminiuses for Foulclaw, so I may as well use them. Set them up with Bite, Howl, and Surge of Power. Start with Howl, and then spam Bite for a while, and make sure that you get off 1 Surge of Power before you die. Bring out Creminius number 2 and rinse and repeat. If I'm really going to keep 3 identical puppies, I should probably try to think of some names. For flyers, I'm grabbing 3 flying pets with Thrash, Adrenaline Rush, and Liftoff. To get started, we're gonna spam Thrash and just use Adrenaline Rush on the round before you get smacked below half health. You can throw in a Liftoff right before you die if you like, particularly later in the fight when his moves hit harder. Which flying pets you use is really up to you. I looked for breeds with a solid attack stat myself, and wound up busting out my Imperial Eagle Chick and Skyhorn Nestling. for Magical Mayhem, I'm using a Sapphire Cub with Pounce, Screech, and Prowl. Second, I have a Sanctum Cub with Pounce and Dodge. For backup, I picked a Jade Owl with Thrash, Adrenaline Rush, and Liftoff. Start with Screech, and then Prowl, and then spam Pounce. Make sure that you refresh your Screech debuff before your Sapphire Cub dies. Then, bring out your Sanctum Cub. Use Dodge, and then spam Pounce forever. If you don't have the Sapphire Cub, you can start with the Jade Owl instead. If you do go that route, just keep your speed buff up with Adrenaline Rush and spam Thrash in between. Last is Undead. I've got my Unborn Valkyr with Curse of Doom, Shadow Shock, and Unholy Ascension. Second, I grabbed Widget the Departed with Pounce. I brought a Risen Saber Kitten as backup, but it turns out I didn't really need it. Start with Curse of Doom, and then spam Shadow Shock. Keep Shadow Shocking until your Valkyr dies, and then use Unholy Ascension on your Undead immunity round. Bring Widget out, and then Pounce repeatedly off into the sunset. If you were to use the Saber Kitten instead, you would want to apply Screech and then spam Pounce with your speed advantage. Widget is just so zippy that he doesn't need it. So, that is Family Fighter Retch. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe for the rest of the Family Fighter guides and other super cool WoW videos. Let me know what you think, share your own strategies and substitutions in the comments if you like, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye!